Hello, my name is John Coates. I'm director of the Sheffield SCITT. So my own background is I did a maths undergraduate degree, and I love maths so much that I stayed on at university and did a PhD. And while I was doing a PhD, I really enjoyed all the academic research I was doing, but I also enjoyed the undergraduate teaching that I also started doing while I was doing my PhD. And it dawned on me that actually I wasn't really feeling as though the academic research I was doing, interesting though it was really having much of an impact on anyone, whereas I could see the very tangible, real difference that the tutoring I was doing was having on the undergraduates I was tutoring. And the penny dropped for me that teaching could be something that I both enjoyed doing and that would make a genuine difference. So I knew someone that was a teacher at the time. I said, can I come and spend a day in your school just to check out what it's like in a school as opposed to teaching undergraduates? And I liked what I saw, and from there I made a decision to apply to teacher training, and the rest is history, as they say. People go into teaching and then their careers go in all sorts of different ways, lots of opportunities. I've been teaching for 18 years now, and I was a bit surprised when I work out quite how long it is. I started as a maths teacher. I became second in the maths department after a couple of years. I then sort of did a sideways and upwards sort of kind of move, and became a member of the senior management team, and I had responsibility for writing school timetables, obviously suits a mathematician. Did that for a few years. Had another promotion whereby I was looking after the safeguarding side of school, and if you go into teacher training, work with young people in any way, you'll know how important that is. And then last 4 or 5 years, I've been a member of the senior management team at Notre Dame in Sheffield, but I've also been running the teaching school. And you say all schools are teaching schools. What on earth does John mean when he says teaching school? So teaching school is a designation that some schools have essentially for doing outreach work. So Notre Dame organises and coordinates the South Yorkshire Maths Hub for the Department of Education. We do the same for the Science Hub, and those are teaching school activities. We also train teachers, which is what I'm here to talk to you about. And we're one of only around 40 schools in the country that form part of the National Research School Network. So, we're about promoting the evidence base, what works, what works in the classroom. So I've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years, and interesting. I've also gone slightly part-time in the last year as well. So, just demonstrate that that there is flexibility within the profession as well. You don't have to work full-time as a teacher or indeed as a school manager. Maths was my favourite subject. I love the fact that it's all about problem solving, and I love the fact that you can solve problems in so many different ways. The same problem, you can tackle it from lots of different ways. I love the links you make between different areas of maths. I love the fact that you can be, or you need to be quite creative at times to solve problems, but also there's that systematic, we can teach children to be systematic about the way they go around their problem solving. And I just think that, equipping children to be confident and competent with maths, we just set them up in such a good way to be able to manage out in the real world when they leave school. It's just such an important mathematics and mathematical knowledge, understanding, and skills. They're just so important. I think there are two sides to people that are great teachers. One is, if you like, the softer skill set, and the other might be what you might call the more professional skill set. So that the softer skill set, teachers need empathy, or working with young people who are themselves, in all sorts of different circumstances. So teachers need empathy. Teachers, you're spending your job with young people, teaching them stuff they don't know. They're going to find that difficult at times. Things going on in their lives will be difficult at times, and they just need someone to be empathetic. So empathy is right up there. I think as a teacher, you need patience. You're working with children and young people at the end of the day. And I think a sense of humour is really, really important as well. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to be able to stand up and just reel off a bunch of jokes in front of a class. But what I mean by sense of humour is you can look at a situation and make a bit light of it. Not take yourself too seriously all of the time, or the situation that you find yourself in. Just sometimes you just need to be able to smile and go, it is what it is, and it is what it is, and I can actually see the funny side of it. The professional side of things, you're doing a really, really important job. People rely on you, and when I refer back to my own route into teaching, and that academic research, well, it wasn't having that immediate impact on people. I could probably not have turned up to work, in that role until Wednesday, Thursday, and people might not have asked where I was. As a teacher, if you're not there, doing the job you're supposed to be doing at 9:05 on a Monday morning, people are going to want to know where you are. You are a key person in the team that is the school. There aren't spare staff. We don't carry surplus capacity in schools. If you're employed as a teacher, you are doing a really, really important job, and you need to be reliable. You need to have a good work ethic, because there will be times when there is a lot to do, and in the same vein, you need to be organised. So if you're not, you're going to find things difficult. I think the one other attribute, I think, and I'll perhaps touch on this later, is really important, is that you're reflective and can take constructive criticism. I don't know any teacher or any good teacher that wouldn't say they're not still learning, 10, 20, 30 years into the job. And they're not still reflecting on their practice. They're not still taking advice from people about how they could do things even better. So, that sort of we talk about being a reflective practitioner. But to me, that also, entails, being able to take on board constructive criticism to help you move forward in your own practice. It comes down to primarily relationships you form, and that's not only with the children, but also with your work colleagues. When teaching is going well, it's a wonderful collaboration between you, the teacher, and the students in your class, the learners. And that collaboration is all about moving them forward with their knowledge, understanding, and skills. And when that goes well, it is just, I can't imagine many professions that are going to be more rewarding when that goes well. I personally like the fact that, we have bells going off and we have school timetables, but genuinely no 2 days are ever the same. That there will be something every day that just makes it a very different day. And I love that part of the job. At a very practical point of view, all have mortgages to pay and want to look after our families and all that kind of thing. Teaching is a secure job. It comes with, pretty decent salary and career progression opportunities. There's that side of things as well that I know appeals to a lot of people about the profession. I think the first one is what I touched on earlier. It's just about taking on board feedback in the spirit that's intended. In a training year, you will get a vast amount of feedback, most of which you will agree with, some of which you won't. But what I would say to you is all of that feedback will be given to you with the best possible intentions. It's not, and it won't be intended as a criticism of you. It's there to help you be better. And I just encourage anyone embarking on a teacher training year to go into it with the mindset that, I'm going to get a lot of feedback, constructive criticism, and I'm just going to lap it up, absorb it, and take it in the spirits intended and respond to it. The second tip I would give you is that you'll have the odd bad day during a teacher training year. I don't think I've ever come across a trainee teacher that hasn't had at least one day that they've had a bit of a wobble. Things haven't gone as they wanted them to go. But the tip is to just remember and to view that odd day that you've come home from school thinking, really not sure about this. Just to view that odd day as what it is, an odd day where it hasn't gone quite as you'd want to, in the context of a lot of days that have actually gone well where you come home feeling, yeah, this is great, I've made the right decision about what I'm doing. Just view those wobbles as what they are, isolated, they're really isolated wobbles in a sort of sea of generally good days. And then the third tip I've got is about learning from other teachers and really maximizing or taking up all the opportunities you've got to do that during your training year. The second you finish your training year and become a paid up main scale teacher, the opportunities you have to go and watch other people teach will fall right down. They don't disappear completely, but there are fewer opportunities. And on your training year, you just have so many more opportunities to go and watch people who are great at teaching, be great teachers. And that's one of the great things about the Sheffield SCITT course. At the beginning of our year, we probably are a little bit slower letting you loose to do what you might call teaching and taking over bits of the lessons. We actually structure our course so those first few weeks you are spending pretty much all your time observing great teachers. You'll have focuses for each week. It might be behavior management, it might be assessment, it might be questioning, but there'll be a focus for each week where you will be supported to really extract as much good practice as you can from the great teachers you've got an opportunity to see. And I would just say, this is a once in a career opportunity, literally. Make the most. At the start of your teacher training year, you're not teaching anything. By the end of the teacher training year, you're probably up to about 15 hours a week of teaching. And between the beginning and the end of the year, you've got a route to get from 0 to 15. On the Sheffield SCITT route, we start you off very slowly. We leave you on 0 for the first few weeks, because that's very deliberate, because what we want you to be doing is absorbing, taking on, observing as much good and outstanding practice as possible, so that when you do start teaching, you've got as much of that good and outstanding practice as possible to call upon. So that's one very deliberate bit of course design that we've consciously made to help you develop in what we think is the best way possible. You'd expect me to say this, but we've got and I genuinely believe this, we have got a truly fantastic team of colleagues who are there to support you through the SCITT year. That could be the course leads. I tend to work quite closely with the course leads, and they are an amazing bunch of people who really, really have thought hard about the sequencing of learning and the way your course is delivered to you, whether that's at primary or whether it's in one of the secondary subjects. But those people really, really do know what they're doing and got a good track record of that. And then, of course, each of you on our course will be allocated a mentor in your host school. And we invest hugely in the mentors because we know how important they are. They are probably the single most important person for you on your training year. We invest in them and we ensure that those people have a dedicated, protected time slot each week that's yours and that's there for them to support you. Of course, they're available during the rest of the week as well, but we, as an absolute minimum, we fund and make sure that they have that dedicated slot every week to work with you. And they are supported within the school. We won't just be working with your mentor, you'll be in other classrooms, you'll be working with other children. And that's particularly at secondary. You'll probably work with 3 or 4 teachers in the department in which you're based, and that wider network of teachers of that. So I would never railroad anyone into teaching as a career. It's got to be something that you make a decision that you want to do. But once you've made that decision, if you've then got to decide a route into teaching. I would wish anyone embarking on teacher training course having made that decision, I would wish them the very best of luck, no matter where they train. Obviously, we hope you make a decision to train with the Sheffield SCITT, in which case what I would say is, look, we've then got your back for the next 12 months, and we will work incredibly closely and do everything we can to support you on that journey. But yeah, don't make the decision lightly. Do all your research. Come and talk to us. pop in and see us. You know, have a face-to-face conversation. Ask your questions. Here are our answers. And just amass all of that information to help you make what's the right decision for you. And the very, very best wishes, whatever you decide.